Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Give you guys a forearm shot first. Forearms are on point. All those years of powerlifting kind of paid off there. Speaking of which, here's the thing. I've transitioned over in my training from powerlifting over to focusing on physique. If that will be a permanent fixture or not, I cannot say. I'm not going to say I'm never going to get on a powerlifting platform again, because when that itch comes around, that itch comes around. So we'll see what happens. But if I do, I'll be in a much lighter, leaner weight class, that's for sure. So these topics come up, and then people bring up this whole thing of, well, do you identify with a bodybuilder? And other people say, you can be in bodybuilding without being part of the whole hardcore bodybuilding culture and the negative things around it. And, I don't know that I have the answer there. And I know a lot of people have tried to reclaim that term, from, say, the hardcore bodybuilding side that has it, the dark side of that industry, which I've talked about even over a decade ago. I was very adamant in discussing why I didn't like that culture and the problems with it. And then, as you guys have noticed with people I interact with, I have friends who are serious bodybuilders. You guys saw me we did a collab, and I'd sit down with my bro Nico, who I've been friends with for, I think close to 2 decades. And he's been a natty pro for a long time, but even he kind of stepped out of competition, and he doesn't like the whole dark side of the bodybuilding world, particularly, on the enhanced side, which they try to whitewash. And so how do we reconcile that? And in my case, I'm just saying, look, I am doing bodybuilding training, but here's how I'm describing it. I'm not calling myself necessarily a bodybuilder, not necessarily calling myself a bodybuilder. I'm saying I am working on improving. I've gone from being a strength athlete, and I guess I still classify myself as a strength athlete, right? I still coach strength. I still coach powerlifters and strongmen, right? I have someone in meet prep doing a meet next month. I still coach those circles, but right now I am focusing on physique, and I feel that it's been really enjoyable for me so far. I feel like it's been really easy on my body. That's the one thing. I get some DOMs. Yes, I get a little more muscle cramps sometimes. There's definitely some cramping involved, and like I said, I get DOMs in a lot of my muscles for about a day after I train. But, outside of that, largely it does feel better because I'm not moving heavy weight all the time. Okay, I did a couple heavy sets this week. I did a heavy set of deadlifts, and I had one heavy set of bench this week, and that's it. Everything else has been pump work, rep work, mostly 8+ reps. I've done some stuff in the 20+ rep range too, up in that area, right around 20 or more. So, but I'm doing a lot of isolation work. Muscles are only getting trained once a week. And quite frankly, my joints and tendons are rather enjoying it. That is one thing that I can say. I get a little bit of muscle DOMs. I don't feel anything in my tendons or joints. I don't even feel like I've trained them. So as I'm getting older, because I'm 47 now, and I'm looking better. Thank you for people who are noticing. Definitely, I am looking better every single week right now, particularly now that I'm isolating all these muscles and I'm cutting at the moment. We're definitely seeing week-to-week progress, which you guys can see in the vlogs. You can see in the thumbnails to the vlogs. But here's my point with all of that. Do we have to identify with the hardcore bodybuilding world? Do we have to look at all these pro bodybuilders, and because we are working on physique to say, well, this is part of my lifestyle, but it really isn't, is it? Because that whole world is such a ridiculous level of extreme abuse. And I've tried to highlight that with certain stuff, like when I discussed just talking about what people admitted they use and what bodybuilders have said in interviews that they've used, and looking at autopsies and of people like McCarver. These people are using extreme excessive amounts. Another perfect example, Sam Saluka, upcoming guy, absurdly popular, but you can see the negative health issues. You can see his blood pressure's out of control. You can see the medical symptoms of cardiac swelling. Okay, and I'm not knocking this kid. I'm not hating on him. I'm simply saying he is not going to live long. He may not make it to 30 because of how hard he's going with the stuff he's doing. This is a problem. Then we have the G for P thing, and I want to be clear on that. When I make those statements, I was talking about people who were doing this who were not anything but straight men. So these were straight men who, because they could not afford the ridiculous cost of the lifestyle, right? Before social media, before they could make a lot of money online, okay? Before they can make all that money online on their social media, because now they can't. I mean, dude, if you have 500,000 followers, 1 million followers on any social media, you don't have to work. You can make enough money off that to live very comfortably. Plus, the cost of bodybuilding stuff is not what it was. So I don't know that that's as prevalent. That was an enormous dark side because it was a very predatory side to the bodybuilding world. And I want to be clear there. So when people say that, they thought that in some way I was making fun of people in that other demographic, and I'm not. I was absolutely not calling anyone out for their orientation. We're talking about men who were kind of felt like they had no choice but to do that, and that wasn't their inclination. And the way the bodybuilding world sucked people into that. Okay. And the most serious bodybuilders at one time, a lot of them had sugar daddies and stuff. They had to afford the lifestyle. But I feel like a lot of that has changed. I feel like we're kind of in a different world as far as that goes, because the cost of it has gone down and these other things. But the issue is still, that very dark side of the bodybuilding world with the heavy substance abuse, the heavy recreational substance abuse. Absolutely devastating. And I don't think people factor that in. They're thinking, oh, well, this guy over here, it was purely whatever anabolics. And no, they were using a whole cocktail of things, plus levels of anabolics that would baffle your mind with the quantities they were using, plus most really serious bodybuilders, including, like, all right, perfect example. I talked about this years ago, but the late Jerry Ward talked about this. He actually said that is how he got hooked on narcotics, was not through other circles, but he got hooked on that through hanging out with NPC and IFBB bodybuilders. Hanging out with serious bodybuilders in that culture is how he got hooked on that. There's an enormous party culture that was part of that world. And a lot of those guys use these things to help them lose fat. And even he kind of said the same thing. Well, it's a way for us to party without getting in extra calories from alcohol, and we could all get messed up. Okay? You guys see the problem there? This is problematic. How do we reconcile that? I don't know. For me, I'm only saying I'm doing bodybuilding training and I'm training for my physique more. So I'm trying not to use the word, but I guess that topic becomes, can that word be reclaimed from that culture? Without people then associating you with the hardcore bodybuilding scene. And I don't know, maybe it can be. Maybe that can be turned into a word that is purely a positive thing again, instead of being part of that world, which is still largely a death cult. Some of the negative sides of it are gone, but the substance abuse side is worse. It's worse than ever. It's the worst it's ever been. And it's unfortunate, but I think eventually that's going to kill it out. Quite literally. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.